A near-death experience reveals humanity's future. The dawn of same-day interplanetary travel. Dr. Amelia Hayes believed in the tangible, the measurable, the things she could see, touch, and analyze with her instruments. She was an aerospace engineer, a woman who dedicated her life to the science of flight, to pushing the boundaries of what was possible within the known laws of physics. She worked for a major aerospace company in Seattle, Washington, a city that hummed with the energy of innovation, a place where the sky was not the limit, but merely the starting point. She was currently working on a project to develop a more efficient propulsion system for long-range aircraft. It was challenging, demanding work, requiring countless hours of simulations, calculations, and testing. She loved the intellectual rigor, the problem-solving, the feeling of contributing to the advancement of human technology. But lately, she'd been feeling a growing sense of frustration, a sense that they were hitting a wall, that the current paradigm of aerospace engineering was reaching its limits. She had always been fascinated by space, by the vastness of the universe and the possibility of life beyond Earth. As a child, she had devoured books on astronomy and science fiction, dreaming of exploring other planets and encountering other civilizations. But as she grew older, her dreams had been tempered by the realities of scientific pragmatism. She had come to accept that interstellar travel, at least within a human lifespan, was likely a fantasy, a concept relegated to the realm of science fiction. Her personal life was as structured and predictable as her professional one. She was a single mother, having adopted her daughter, Maya, from China 10 years earlier. Maya was the center of her world, the source of her greatest joy and her deepest anxieties. She was a bright, curious child with a passion for science that mirrored her mother's. Recently, Amelia's mother, a vibrant and independent woman, had passed away after a brief illness. The loss had hit Amelia hard, leaving her with a lingering sense of grief and a heightened awareness of her own mortality. She found herself questioning the meaning of life, the purpose of her work, the legacy she would leave behind. One evening, Amelia was working late in the lab, running simulations on a new engine design. She was tired, frustrated by a series of setbacks, and feeling the weight of her personal grief. As she was preparing to leave for the night, she noticed an anomaly in the data, a strange energy signature that she couldn't explain. Intrigued, she decided to run one more test, pushing the system beyond its design parameters. As she initiated the test, there was a sudden surge of power, a blinding flash of light, and a deafening roar. Amelia felt a jolt of electricity coursing through her body, followed by an excruciating pain in her chest. She collapsed to the floor, her vision blurring, her consciousness fading. The pain vanished. It was replaced by a sensation of weightlessness, of floating free from her body. She looked down and saw herself lying on the floor of the lab, her body still and lifeless. She saw the emergency lights flashing, the alarms blaring, and her colleagues rushing towards her, their faces etched with panic. She felt no fear, no anxiety. A profound sense of calm washed over her, a tranquility she had never experienced before. The sounds of the lab, the shouts of her colleagues, the wail of the alarms, all faded into a distant hum. She was aware of a presence beside her, a gentle, guiding force. She didn't see anyone, but she felt a warmth, a love that was both familiar and overwhelming. She began to move, not of her own volition, but drawn by an irresistible force. She was rising, floating upwards, effortlessly passing through the ceiling of the lab, the roof of the building, the night sky above. She was moving through a tunnel, a darkness that was not frightening, but rather comforting, like being enveloped in a soft, warm embrace. The darkness began to recede, replaced by a soft, radiant light at the end of the tunnel. The light grew brighter, more intense, yet it didn't hurt her eyes. It was a light unlike anything she had ever seen, a light that seemed to emanate from within, a light that was both light and love. The sense of peace intensified, becoming almost unbearable in its beauty. All her earthly concerns, her frustrations with her work, her grief over her mother's death, her worries about Maya, all vanished completely. She felt whole, complete, loved in a way that transcended human understanding. She knew, with absolute certainty, that she was going home. The light enveloped her completely, and Amelia found herself in a realm that defied all earthly description. It wasn't a place with physical dimensions, but rather a state of being, a dimension of pure energy and consciousness. Colors existed that she had never seen before, vibrant and alive, resonating with an inner light. Sounds were not heard, but felt, harmonies that vibrated deep within her soul. She was not alone. She saw figures, shimmering and radiant, beings of light that emanated love and compassion. She recognized her mother, her face glowing with a joy and peace that she had rarely seen in life. They embraced, a wordless exchange of love and understanding that transcended all earthly limitations. Then, a figure approached her, radiating a light that was even more intense than the others. This being did not have a specific form, but Amelia felt a presence of immense wisdom, compassion, and authority. This was her guide, a being tasked with helping her understand what she was about to experience. The guide communicated with her telepathically, its thoughts flowing directly into her mind. It explained that Amelia had been brought to this realm to receive a revelation, a glimpse into the hidden truths of the universe and the future of humanity. You have been chosen, the guide conveyed, because of your scientific mind, your innate curiosity, and your deep love for your daughter and for all of humanity. You are ready to understand the greater reality that lies beyond your current perception. Amelia, despite her lifelong skepticism, felt no doubt, no fear. The overwhelming love and peace of this realm had opened her mind and heart to possibilities she had never before imagined. She was ready to receive the revelation, to understand the truth, to embrace the future. The guide led Amelia to a vantage point, a shift in perspective that allowed her to observe the first part of the revelation. It was a vision, not of a physical place, but of a hidden reality, a layer of existence that was normally invisible to human eyes. She saw the earth, seemingly normal, people going about their daily lives. But then, her perception shifted, and she saw a subtle overlay, a network of energy lines connecting individuals and institutions. She saw that some of these individuals, particularly those in positions of power, political leaders, corporate executives, media moguls, were not what they seemed. They appeared human, but beneath the surface, they were different. Their energy signatures were distinct, their auras shimmering with an otherworldly quality. The guide explained that these were extraterrestrial beings living among humans in disguise, influencing world events, guiding humanity's development from behind the scenes. This was not presented as a hostile invasion, but as a long-term, largely benevolent though sometimes flawed intervention. These beings, from various star systems, had been observing and interacting with humanity for millennia, sometimes subtly, sometimes more directly. Their motives were complex, but their primary goal was to help humanity avoid self-destruct and reach its full potential. The guide explained that these beings were not all-powerful or all-knowing. They were fallible, capable of making mistakes, and their methods were not always perfect. They had chosen to work in secrecy, believing that direct intervention would be too disruptive, too overwhelming for humanity to handle. Amelia struggled to process this information, to reconcile it with her scientific worldview. But the guide emphasized that this was not a matter of belief, but of knowing, of direct experience. She was seeing the truth, a truth that had been hidden from humanity for far too long. The time for secrecy, the guide explained, was coming to an end. Humanity was ready for a new level of understanding, a new era of openness and cooperation with the galactic community. The vision shifted, and Amelia was shown a glimpse of the future, a future transformed by the sharing of advanced extraterrestrial technology. She saw cities that gleamed with sleek, futuristic architecture, powered by clean, renewable energy. She saw medical devices that could heal injuries and cure diseases in a matter of minutes. She saw technologies that could clean up pollution, restore ecosystems, and solve the problems of poverty and hunger. But the most dramatic change was in transportation. She saw the skies filled, not with airplanes, but with large, sleek spacecraft, shaped like elongated cylinders or disks. These vehicles, the guide explained, were based on principles of anti-gravity and electromagnetic propulsion, technologies far beyond humanity's current understanding. They did not require runways, but could take off and land vertically from anywhere on Earth. They could travel at incredible speeds, reaching orbit in a matter of minutes, and traversing the vast distances between planets in a matter of hours. Amelia saw images of people boarding these spacecraft, families with children, business people, scientists, tourists, all embarking on journeys to other planets. Mars, the Moon, and even more distant worlds were now within easy reach. Destinations for exploration, colonization, and commerce. Interplanetary travel had become as commonplace as international travel was in her present time. The guide explained that this technology would be gradually introduced to humanity over the next 30 years, transforming civilization in ways that were almost unimaginable. It would usher in a new era of exploration, discovery, and collaboration, breaking down the barriers between nations and opening up the vastness of space to human endeavor. But the guide also cautioned that this technology, like any powerful tool, could be used for good or for ill. It was crucial that humanity develop the wisdom and maturity to use this technology responsibly, to avoid the temptations of conquest and exploitation, and to focus on creating a future of peace, prosperity, and sustainability for all. The visions faded, and Amelia found herself in the presence of a being of light so radiant, so loving, that she felt a sense of profound awe and reverence. She understood, intuitively, that this was a representation of the ultimate source of all creation, the divine intelligence that permeated the universe. This being might be called God, the source, universal consciousness, or any number of other names. But the specific label was less important than the overwhelming feeling of love, acceptance, and understanding that emanated from it. This divine being did not speak in words, but communicated directly to Amelia's heart and mind, conveying a message that transcended all earthly limitations. It reinforced the truths that had been revealed in the previous visions, that humanity was not alone in the universe, that it was on the cusp of a great transformation, and that it had the potential to create a future of unimaginable beauty and harmony. You are all children of the universe, the being conveyed, its thoughts resonating with infinite love and compassion. You are all interconnected, part of a single, living organism. The divisions and conflicts that plague your world are illusions, born of fear and ignorance. The truth is that you are all one. The being emphasized the importance of love, compassion, forgiveness, and unity. It stressed that the path to a brighter future lay not in technological advancement alone, but in a fundamental shift in consciousness, a turning away from greed, hatred, and division, and a turning towards cooperation, understanding, and mutual respect. The universe is abundant, filled with infinite possibilities, the being continued. But you must choose wisely. You must use your gifts, your knowledge, your technology, for the benefit of all, not just for the few. You must learn to live in harmony with each other and with the planet that sustains you. The being assured Amelia that she was not alone, that countless beings of light were working to assist humanity in this transition, offering guidance, support, and inspiration. But ultimately, the responsibility lay with humanity itself. It was up to each individual to choose love over fear, to choose unity over division, to choose to create a world that reflected the divine harmony of the universe. Go back now, the being said, its love enveloping Amelia like a warm embrace. Go back and share this message. Go back and live this truth. Go back and be a beacon of hope in a world that desperately needs it. The return to her physical body was abrupt and jarring. She felt a wrenching sensation of being pulled back into the confines of her earthly form, followed by a wave of intense physical and emotional disorientation. She was lying in a hospital bed, surrounded by the sterile white walls and the beeping monitors of the intensive care unit. A nurse was checking her vital signs, her face etched with a mixture of relief and concern. "Dr. Hayes," the nurse said, "you're awake. You had a severe reaction to the electrical shock. We were very worried about you." Amelia tried to speak, to explain what she had experienced, but her words were slurred and incoherent. The memories of her NDE, the encounter with the divine, the revelations about aliens and advanced technology, the message of hope and responsibility, all were vivid and overwhelming. Yet they seemed to belong to another world, a realm that defied the logic and reason of her scientific mind. Her colleagues, fellow doctors and engineers, visited her, expressing their relief at her recovery. They attributed her accounts of the NDE to hallucinations, the effects of the electrical shock, and the temporary lack of oxygen to her brain. Amelia, her friend and colleague, Dr. Chen, said gently, "You've been through a traumatic experience. The brain can play tricks on you under stress. It's not uncommon for people to report strange sensations, vivid dreams, even what they might perceive as visions. But these are not real in the way we understand reality. They're products of your brain's attempt to make sense of a near-death situation." Amelia understood their perspective. She knew that her story sounded fantastical, even to her own ears. She was a scientist, a woman of reason, and yet she was now claiming to have encountered extraterrestrial beings, witnessed the future of humanity, and spoken with God. She felt a profound sense of isolation, a chasm separating her from her former colleagues, her friends, even her family. She was caught between two worlds, the rational, empirical world of science and the extraordinary, inexplicable world of her near-death experience. The weight of the knowledge she carried, the responsibility to share the message, felt almost unbearable, driven by a desperate need to understand her experience, to find some validation for the extraordinary revelation she had received. Amelia began to research near-death experiences. She devoured books, articles, and scientific studies on the subject. She discovered that NDEs were a surprisingly common phenomenon, reported by people from all walks of life, across cultures and throughout history. She learned that many of the elements she had experienced, the out-of-body sensation, the tunnel of light, the encounters with deceased loved ones, the sense of peace and love, were reported by countless others. This provided a degree of comfort, a sense that she wasn't alone, that her experience wasn't simply a hallucination. But her NDE had gone beyond the typical accounts. She had been given specific information about the presence of aliens, about future technology, about a divine plan for humanity. She needed to find some way to corroborate this information, to find some evidence that her experience was more than just a product of her injured brain. She cautiously began to explore the literature on UFOs and extraterrestrial contact. She had always dismissed this field as pseudoscience, as the realm of conspiracy theorists and delusional individuals. But now, she found herself approaching it with a new openness, a willingness to consider possibilities she had previously rejected. She attended a local meeting of AMUFO and Mutual UFO Network Group, listening to the accounts of people who claimed to have seen unidentified flying objects, or even encountered extraterrestrial beings. She found their stories intriguing, but she remained skeptical, aware of the potential for misinterpretation, fabrication, and psychological projection. She reached out to a few prominent researchers in the field of NDEs, sharing her story with them, seeking their opinions and insights. Some were dismissive, attributing her experience to brain anomalies. Others were more open-minded, suggesting that her NDE might represent a genuine glimpse into a deeper reality. She struggled with the ethical implications of sharing her knowledge. She knew that if she went public with her story, she would face ridicule, disbelief, and possibly even professional ruin. She could lose her credibility as a scientist, damage her career, and alienate her friends and family. But she also felt a strong sense of responsibility, a calling to share the message she had received, to warn humanity about the dangers of its current path and to inspire hope for a better future. She was torn between the desire to protect herself and the need to fulfill her perceived mission. Amelia gradually came to a decision. She wouldn't become a public figure, a prophetess proclaiming the imminent arrival of aliens and the dawn of a new age. She understood that such an approach would be counterproductive, likely to be met with widespread disbelief and ridicule. Instead, she chose to integrate her NDE into her life in a more subtle, more practical way. She decided to use her scientific skills and her professional position to work towards the future. She had glimpsed a future of advanced technology, global cooperation, and spiritual awakening. She resigned from her position at the large aerospace company, feeling that she could no longer contribute to projects that were primarily focused on military applications and profit-driven ventures. She used her savings and her professional contacts to start a small research and development company dedicated to exploring alternative energy sources and sustainable technologies. She focused on developing propulsion systems that were based on principles of electromagnetism and anti-gravity, inspired by the vision of the future spaceships she had seen during her NDE. She knew that these technologies were far beyond the current understanding of mainstream science, but she was driven by a conviction that they were possible, that they were the key to unlocking humanity's future in space. She also became more involved in her community, volunteering her time to support local environmental initiatives and promote education in science and technology. She fostered a sense of hope and possibility in her interactions with others, sharing her belief in humanity's potential for positive change. She focused much more energy on her daughter. She didn't speak openly about her NDE or the alien presence, except with a small circle of trusted friends and colleagues who were open to such possibilities. She understood that the truth was too radical, too disruptive for most people to accept. She focused instead on embodying the principles she had learned: love, compassion, unity, and responsibility. Years passed, and Amelia's company made slow but steady progress. She attracted a team of brilliant and dedicated engineers and scientists who shared her vision. They faced numerous challenges, technical setbacks, and financial constraints, but they persevered, driven by a shared belief in the possibility of a better future. The world around them was changing, too. Global tensions continued to rise and fall, but there were also signs of progress: increased international cooperation on climate change, a growing awareness of the interconnectedness of all things, and a rising tide of social and political activism demanding a more just and equitable world. Amelia watched these developments with a quiet sense of hope and anticipation. She knew that the future was not predetermined, that it was being created in every moment by the choices and actions of individuals and nations. She knew that the path to the golden age she had glimpsed was not a straight line, but a winding road filled with challenges and setbacks. The final scene shows Amelia, now in her late 60s, standing on a rooftop overlooking the city. It's nighttime, and the sky is clear, filled with stars. She's not alone. Her daughter, Maya, now a young woman with a degree in astrophysics, stands beside her. They're looking up at the sky, not with fear or apprehension, but with wonder and anticipation. In the distance, a bright light streaks across the sky, leaving a trail of shimmering energy. It's not a meteor, not a satellite, not a conventional aircraft. It's something else. Maya turns to her mother, her eyes filled with excitement. "Mom," she says, "do you think?" Amelia smiles, a knowing, peaceful smile. "I think," she says, "that the future is finally here." She doesn't need to explain. Her daughter, raised with an open mind and a deep understanding of her mother's unique experience, understands. The age of interplanetary travel, of open contact with other civilizations, of a transformed humanity, is dawning. And Amelia, the ordinary engineer who had once seen beyond the veil, is ready to embrace it, filled with hope, with gratitude, and with a profound sense of wonder at the infinite possibilities that lie ahead.